The Forbidden Door, a tale of faith and redemption in a small village by a vast, ancient forest. There once lived a poor woodcutter and his wife. They had only one child, a sweet little girl whom they loved dearly. Yet life was difficult, and they often went to bed hungry, worrying about how to feed their daughter. One morning, as the woodcutter ventured into the forest with a heavy heart, he wondered how he could provide for his family. Each swing of his axe echoed his worries. Suddenly, a radiant figure appeared before him. A woman of extraordinary beauty with a crown of shining stars on her head. Her presence was so warm and gentle that the woodcutter felt his worries begin to fade. She introduced herself, saying, "I am the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus." Her voice was soothing, like a comforting breeze through the trees. Seeing the sorrow on his face, she said, "I know that you are poor and struggling. Bring me your little girl, and I will take her to heaven, care for her, and be her mother. There, she will want for nothing." The woodcutter, though his heart ached at the thought of parting with his only child, felt this was a blessing too precious to refuse. With trembling hands and tears in his eyes, he returned home and explained to his wife and daughter. While there was sadness, they saw hope in the Virgin Mary's offer, trusting that she would care for the child as they never could. The next morning, the woodcutter, with a mixture of sorrow and gratitude, brought his little girl to the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary gently took the little girl's hand and led her up to heaven, where her new life was filled with joy. In heaven, the girl was surrounded by light and warmth, a place where sorrow and hardship could never reach her. She played with angels who became her closest friends, and they filled her days with laughter and wonder. She ate sweet treats, cakes as light as clouds and sweet as honey, and drank milk that tasted like the purest spring. Under the Virgin Mary's tender guidance, she learned about kindness, faith, and obedience. Years passed, and as the girl grew, she blossomed into a graceful young woman, still as innocent and curious as she had been as a child. On her 14th birthday, the Virgin Mary called her and said, "My dear child, I must go on a long journey." There was a solemn yet warm expression on her face. As if she were entrusting the girl with a great responsibility, the Virgin Mary held out a ring of keys, each one shining like small stars. "These are the keys to the 13 doors of heaven. You may open 12 of them and see the wonders inside." The girl's heart leapt with excitement, eager to explore the unknown mysteries of heaven. "But the 13th door is forbidden," the Virgin Mary continued, her tone becoming more serious. "Do not open it, or you will bring sorrow upon yourself." The girl promised to obey, her heart filled with both awe and anticipation. She took the keys, grateful for the Virgin Mary's trust, and watched as her guardian left on her journey. Left alone, the girl felt a thrill, knowing that each key held the promise of something wondrous. Each day, she opened one of the 12 doors, and each time, she was met with sights beyond her wildest imagination. Inside each door, she saw one of the apostles, each surrounded by a radiant light that seemed to glow from within. The apostles smiled kindly at her, their presence filling her with peace and reverence. Each room was filled with unimaginable beauty and serenity. The little angels who had become her friends rejoiced at the splendor with her, giggling and dancing as they followed her from door to door. Their laughter was like the sound of music, blending harmoniously with the celestial light that filled each room. But soon, only the 13th door remained closed. The girl tried to ignore it, but curiosity began to gnaw at her, a small yet persistent itch that she could not shake. She wondered what lay behind the door that was so strictly forbidden. One day, as she stood in front of the door, she whispered to herself, "I'll just take a tiny peek. I won't go in, just enough to see what's inside." She turned to the angels, hoping they would share her curiosity, but they warned her, "No, it is forbidden. The Virgin Mary has told you not to open it. It would be a sin." Despite the warning, the thought of the forbidden door lingered, haunting her dreams. She could almost hear it calling to her, whispering secrets that begged to be uncovered. One day, finding herself alone, the girl gave in. "No one will know if I take a little peek," she reasoned. Her hands trembled as she took the small key, feeling both excitement and guilt. As the door creaked open, a brilliant light flooded out, more magnificent than anything she had ever seen. Inside, she saw the Holy Trinity, bathed in splendor, their presence radiating love and power. She was filled with awe, and as she reached out, her finger touched the light, instantly turning golden. Suddenly, a wave of fear and shame overwhelmed her. She quickly shut the door, her heart pounding, and ran away, desperately trying to wash the golden color from her finger. But no matter how she scrubbed, the mark would not come off. When the Virgin Mary returned, her face was gentle yet sorrowful. She asked the girl, "Did you open the 13th door?" Trembling, the girl hesitated, then lied, "No, I did not." The Virgin Mary asked again, and again the girl denied it. Finally, noticing the golden mark on the girl's finger, the Virgin Mary knew the truth. "You disobeyed me," she said softly, her voice filled with disappointment, "and on top of that, you lied. You are no longer worthy to be in heaven." At that moment, the girl felt a deep wave of regret, but before she could speak, she fell into a deep sleep. When she awoke, she found herself alone on earth, in a desolate wilderness. Surrounded by thorny bushes and with no way out, her life became one of hardship and solitude. Her new home became an old hollow tree where she sought shelter from the cold and rain. She survived on roots and wild berries, her clothes turning to rags as the years passed. Each day, she remembered her lost life in heaven, her heart heavy with remorse. One spring day, as the trees bloomed anew, a king hunting in the forest came across her. Hidden beneath her long golden hair, she looked like a mysterious figure among the trees. Moved by her beauty and sorrow, he asked, "Who are you? And why are you here alone in this wilderness?" She could not speak, but she nodded when he offered to take her with him. The king gently lifted her onto his horse and brought her to his castle. There, he provided her with beautiful clothes and all that she needed. Though she remained silent, the king fell in love with her gentle beauty and kindness, and before long, they were married. A year later, the queen gave birth to a son. That night, the Virgin Mary appeared to her, her face a mixture of kindness and sadness. "If you confess that you opened the forbidden door, I will return your voice," she offered. "But if you deny it again, I will take your child." The queen, still too proud to admit her wrongdoing, denied it. Sadly, the Virgin Mary took the baby away, leaving the queen heartbroken. This happened again with the second child, and then a third. Each time, the Virgin Mary gave her a chance to confess, and each time the queen refused. Rumors spread that the queen had harmed her own children, and the people grew suspicious. Finally, they demanded justice, and she was condemned to be burned at the stake. As the flames began to rise, her heart softened, and she felt deep regret for her pride and lies. At that moment, her voice returned, and she cried out, "Yes, Mary, I did it! I opened the forbidden door." Instantly, rain poured down from the heavens, extinguishing the flames as a sign of forgiveness. The Virgin Mary appeared once more, holding the queen's 3 children. With a gentle smile, she said, "Those who repent and admit their wrongs are forgiven." She returned the queen's children, restored her voice, and blessed her with happiness for the rest of her life. From that day forward, the queen lived joyfully, surrounded by her family and forever grateful for the chance to make things right.